Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Health Made Simple Show. I'm your host, Dr. Bart. Today, another great topic, especially if you are a female or if you have patients that are females or you happen to be the dude in the life that has a female that might be looking to lose a couple extra pounds. And I know there's a lot of different very luring opportunities right now to kind of take some shortcuts. I don't know that those shortcuts are good long term. We all know what we're talking about, the different medications and drugs. And there's some people out there that still just want to kind of put the work in. I'm not saying that they're bad or there's no place for them yet. Nonetheless, their shortcuts are shortcuts, and they always seem to come back and bite us a little bit. So, anyways, I'm going to talk about three things that always are relevant when it comes to women and weight loss. And I understand that it is challenging. It is not the same as it is for men, simply because most women, if you have a cycle, you are going through cycles each and every 30 days or 28 days, or sometimes irregular. And men don't have to do that. So comparing yourself to the men is just not fair on you. So let's give yourself a little bit of grace. But I'm going to walk you through three different things that I think are super relevant. That I don't know if we can talk about them enough. Here's what I know. When dealing with women in weight loss, which I've done literally for decades now, I understand how emotional it can be at times. And I think a lot of guys don't have that true understanding, quite frankly. And the only reason I do is because I've worked with so many women that are really challenged with body image. And not even that because they're I probably said that wrong. Not so much body image, but they want to lose some weight and they're really challenged or frustrated with how it goes for their body. And with our culture, everywhere you look, it's always about these perfect bodies. So I'm going to ask everyone listening to this, give yourself a little bit of grace. Allow yourself to move absolutely 100% toward the body and the health that you want and crave. And I will tell you this, it probably is going to require you to hunker down a little bit differently. It's probably going to require you to get a little bit uncomfortable, change some patterns and some habits, learn some new things, continue to focus in a direction that isn't necessarily just weight loss, but is becoming the optimal version of yourself. With all of that said, I'm going to dive in and give you three things, three categories. We're going to talk about calories. We're going to talk about perimenopause, if you're in that category, let's say 40 plus. And we're going to talk about the timing of how important your exercise and the types of food you eat during the course of the month are. And if you get these three things down, I think you're going to find the journey to losing weight and the understanding of it a lot better. Because listen, I have people that are in my office that I've seen for long periods of time that in their minds, because of the actions they're taking, believe they are doing everything absolutely perfect because of what they do or do not know currently. And I will tell you that they're working hard and there's still some things that we got to poke, kind of look deeper into. We're going to do that right now. All right, so let's dive in. Keep doing your thing. Keep sharing this out. Keep spreading the love, especially if you know someone that has always on that journey to try to lose a couple extra pounds. And listen, I get it. I'll be the first one to tell you that I take a lot of pride in my physical form, and I think that's healthy for every one of us. And if I'm a little bit out of balance, the goal is always to make observations. What things are we doing? What things are changing? Is it my age? Is it the food that I'm eating? And we're going to discover today that it isn't often age. It plays a role, but it's more likely that there are things that we can do to make subtle changes to get the body that we desire. And I will tell you this, it's going to require you to be outside of the box of the normal cultural stuff. If you're a tennis player and every time after tennis, all the girls go and get a glass of wine and champagne, if you want to stay lean and trim, that's not going to happen. So, all right, let's dive this in. Keep doing the thing. Keep sharing out. Keep spreading the love here. And wherever you are, if you'd love to give us, we would love it if you give us a nice 5-star review, make some comments, share. If you have questions, send them. That is how those comments, those 5-star reviews give us better ratings, and that's how we are able to really essentially meet and help more people. All right, with that being said, let's dive in. Number one, let's talk calories here. I think this is hands down the single most overlooked component when it comes to weight loss, and here's my challenge with it. If you've been following me for any period of time, you recognize, you'll hear me say it all the time, I'm not a huge fan of counting calories, although it can play a huge role in opening up our minds and opening up our eyes to what is really taking place. So here's the thing about calories. More often than not, we have literally no idea how many calories we're taking in. At the end of the day, you're going to have to be in a caloric deficit to lose a couple pounds. And most people have no idea how many calories they're putting in their body. So for that reason, I do think it can be very beneficial for us to, for a short period of time, literally count everything that goes into your body and count everything, your salad dressings, your waters, your drinks, your lattes, your food, your yogurts, all the things that we count, the little snacks in between, and find out how much they add up to. Here's what I've discovered. Sometimes we don't pay attention to the little thing. I'm going to give you some nuances that I have. I love nut butters, peanut butter, almond butter, you name it. I love it. I love butter. And with that being said, I often never consider that a meal that I'm eating. I consider that a snack, and I rarely think of it as part of my caloric intake. But lo and behold, heck, 2 tablespoons of peanut butter is probably 100, 150 calories. Do I just eat 2 tablespoons of peanut butter? Never. Not in my life have I only eaten two. I typically eat 5, maybe 10 through the day. So there's over 1,000 calories of just peanut butter. And you might be thinking, my goodness, Dr. Bart, you're the only one in the world that does that. Heck no. So let's think about some other things we might be eating. And then there's a comparison that we want to make in terms of good calories. So listen, folks, there are things like a yogurt. And a lot of my women say, oh, I eat perfect. I have my yogurt, a little bit of granola in the morning. And that might be about 300 calories, which, folks, would be about equivalent to about a 4-ounce steak, 300 calories. Now we start to think about what could we be replacing those calories with? A glass of wine, probably 150 calories. To make it relevant here, each bottle is probably 700 calories of wine. Why do I reference the bottle? Because I know, like you know, that rarely do you open up a bottle and it makes it 2 days in your house. Usually, that bottle is gone either that evening or the following night. And why is this important? Because we don't count those calories. Here's the simple math. To lose a pound, you have to cut about 3,500 calories. That could be 500 calories a day you have to cut. I don't recommend that many in a day. I do recommend that you start to know how many calories you take in every single day. If you don't know how many calories and you're struggling losing weight and you're not understanding you're eating really good foods, it could just be a caloric thing. My favorite is you have a pattern. You figure out how many calories I've been eating per day for this past month. And then this upcoming year, you plan on being in caloric deficit 100 calories per day for a year, and you lose 10 pounds. That's just simple math. If you do it that way, it doesn't seem that hard, but you'd have to be consistent. Because remember, if you're putting back 2 bottles of wine, there's 1,500 calories back onto the other side of not favorable, not nutritious calories. So here's the challenge when we get derailed. Whether you're talking about that vanilla latte that you might have, or the peanuts, or the M&Ms, or whatever they may be, when we start to make poor food choices, unfortunately, they usually lead to more bad habits as well, make it harder for us to be at a deficit, so we think and crave food more. This is why it's so important that we continue to stay clean. Can you overeat clean food? You absolutely could. So number one, I would say this. If you struggle with weight loss for about a week, maybe about 10 days, you get an app. I don't have a particular one that I'm affiliated with or anything, but I would get an app online. My carb manager seems to be a pretty good one. I know there's a lot of good ones out there. And put every single thing that you put into your mouth into your app and see how many calories you are consuming per day. And do this over a period of time. And then decide, could you be in a caloric deficit? Could you get 100 calories a day out, 200 calories? This is where it's going to get uncomfortable. Most of the time, you're going to have to give up some of those little yummy snacks. For me, I know for a fact, when I take the peanut butter out of my life, within a 2-week period of time, I usually lose 2 to 3 pounds. I'm already relatively lean to begin with, so 2 to 3 pounds for me is awesome. Yet it comes down to one of my go-to snacks. Often it's my emotional fallback when I'm a little bit stressed, a little bit tired, a little bit bored. I go to the peanut butter. So find out what you do when it comes to snacking. Find out what you do that you think is a healthy, good food, although might be putting a lot of calories in your diet. So that'd be number one, ladies and gentlemen. Pay attention to your total caloric intake. If you want to lose weight, at some point, you're going to have to be in a caloric deficit. I do not recommend trying to cut more than 500 a day. You will end up probably having food challenges where you go in these yo-yo cycles where you're crashing and bringing them back up, crashing and bringing them back up. So I like to slow and go, get good, healthy, and start to recognize how many calories in things like a grass-fed steak, 3-4 ounces grass-fed steak is equivalent to your yogurt and granola in the morning. And with the nutrient emphasis there is way better and way different and much more satiating in that grass-fed steak. All right, number 2 here today. We're going to talk about perimenopause. I've talked about this before on our podcast, but so important that we understand this. Ladies, understand this. During perimenopause, like this or not, understand that your body is going to have less capacity to handle all stressors. The only way I know this, and I don't know that there's any documented research for this, but ask anyone who's been practicing for a couple decades and working with perimenopausal women on a regular basis. And what you'll recognize is as their body goes through change, their capacity to handle stressors is going to be less than it once was. I'm calling it bad or good. It's going to be less than it once was. The number one thing we have to pay attention to this is listen close, ladies. If you are entering perimenopause, probably 40 plus, 40, 44, 45, 46 years old, somewhere in that category. If you started to enter perimenopause, your ability to handle alcohol is not the same. It's going to have to change. Otherwise, you will be running uphill the entire time. I'd like to tell you this. The sooner you get to grips with that alcohol needs to leave your life, the better off you're going to be. It doesn't help you, I promise you. It doesn't make you skinnier. It doesn't make you smarter. It doesn't make you sexier. It does not make you faster on the tennis court. It does not make you a better mom. It does not make you a better sister, a better friend, nothing. The quicker you get it out of your life, the better off you're going to be. And I will tell you this, if you continue to drink through perimenopause, you are going to make all of your your weight loss goals very, very, very difficult. You will end up being one of the ones that says, man, I do everything except giving up the alcohol. So I would tell you this, during perimenopause, the number one thing I always stress and always urge that you support your adrenal glands because those are going to help you adapt to stressors. Your body's going through change and it's not bad or it's not good. In fact, I would say that, listen, if you can manage your perimenopause appropriately in a healthy manner, get rid of all the bad habits, including things like alcohol, being on your phone too late and staying up too late and all that kind of stuff. If you get through that and you have done a pretty good job, when you get to the other side in menopause, this is going to sound weird, but to some degree, then you get to experience what it's like as a man who does not have a cycle, that all month long we don't have these ebbs and flows. We get kind of easy street. That's what you do have to look forward to when you get to menopause. So you got to ride this out in perimenopause. What does that really mean to you? Nurturing yourself more than you ever have. Your sleep is going to be critical. To get more sleep on the calendar is a huge component of this. The next would be stressors have to go. Life stressors, but also chemical stressors. Food, bad chemicals, bad nutrients that put into your food, the snacks, the chemicals, the glyphosate, the gluten, the alcohol. The more and the faster you get rid of those, the better and the easier it's going to be for you to achieve your health goals that you want. And if, by the way, you hear in the background of me what sounds to be a huffing and puffing group of dogs, it is. My dogs are with me right now making all kinds of noises, and I apologize for that. I guess it's just part of the road that you have when you have 8 dogs and you can't avoid them in your own house. All right. That being said, let's get into number 3 here. This is kind of an important one. The timing of the month in weight loss. This is important, especially for my cycling women. So here's what I'm going to say, a couple things. The week before your period comes, what we call the luteal phase or luteal phase. During that phase, it's very common that the uterine wall is starting to thicken. It's in theory, building up progesterone with the effort or potential of making yourself a baby. Now, if that happens, yes, you're going to gain weight. Now, during that phase, it is not uncommon for all women to gain about 3 to 5 pounds. So when you weigh yourself, it's very, very important and very, especially for your mindset of understanding when you weigh yourself and when you don't weigh yourself. So during that luteal phase, that 7, 5, 10 days prior to your period actually coming, don't weigh yourself. Don't beat yourself up like that. Your body is collecting. It is holding on to things. That is the luteal phase. Now, with that being said, that's also a very vulnerable phase. This is when your body has lower estrogen and it's trying to do its best to build up progesterone. And this is where things like intermittent fasting should be toned down a bit. This is where your exercise should be toned down a bit. And this is where I see a lot of women go astray. They have these weight loss goals and they're out there doing Orange Theory. They're out there doing CrossFit. they're on their Peloton bike, and they're doing all of these things that they think, I got to lose this in the gym. I got to lose this gym. No, you have to give yourself a little bit of grace. You have to give yourself an opportunity to unwind and recover. And that luteal phase requires time down, a little bit more sleep. So that 5, 6, 7 days, tone it down. Do not crush yourselves. Listen, ladies, you are running uphill the week before your period. If you make it twice as hard because you are still working out as hard as the rest of the month, you are going to exhaust your body. You're going to start burning out your adrenal glands, and there's no way that you're going to lose weight during that phase. So what I'm going to encourage you is that during that time, you do other things. You go for a walk the dogs, go down to the beach, you do some light yoga, but do not crush yourself. Your body's trying to build up progesterone during that phase. And if you are hammering your body in the gym, you're doing Orange Theory at 5 a.m., 3 days a week, right before your period. Good luck, girl. You are just beating your body down. If you are doing your Peloton bike, same thing. So let's tone it down. Let's honor the body. And you're going to start to see as you get into natural rhythm, it's going to be a little easier for you to start to lose a little weight. All right. A little recap here to those 3 things. And make sure, so that 3 to 5 pounds, make sure you're not weighing yourself 2 days before your period and then wondering why you've gained 2 or 3 pounds, whatever it may be. Give yourself a little grace here. So in recap here, 3 things. 1, calories. If you haven't counted them before, take a time, 7 to 10 days. Count every single thing that's going into your body in order for you to lose weight. Ultimately, you're going to need to be in some type of caloric deficit. Just a little bit. Hey, listen, I like the idea, 100 calories less per day. Do that over an extended period of time. Over the course of a year, you would then be down about 10 pounds in 1 year. If we come back here and we say, hey, in 1 year, if I asked you this right now, in 1 year, if we come back here in 1 year from now, would you like to be down 10 pounds? Would that make you happy? You'd probably say, yes, that would be amazing. Let's do it. 100 calories a day, that's how you do it. 3,500 calories a week, that's 500 calories a day. That is the maximum I recommend cutting because we have to allow ourselves to think about lifestyle. What are the things that we're doing every single day? The second thing we're going to dive into here, if you're in perimenopause, listen to me closely when I say this. If you're in perimenopause, the wine will have to go. The alcohol will have to go. The sooner you get it out of your life, the better off you're going to be. Support your adrenal glands. My number 1 herb for this is really a concoction. We have something called an adrenal tonic. This is going to help your immune system. This is going to help. Has a little ashwagandha, which is balances things for your things like your thyroid and your adrenal glands and your testosterone levels. Has a little bit of romania, which is going to help repair and restore your adrenal glands, and a little licorice root, which might be one of the most phenomenal tonics for women in general. The dosing on that, so listen, it is a liquid herb. It is phenomenal. Does it taste amazing? I think you get used to it over time. We'll put that in the show notes, but that is all my perimenopausal women. I recommend that you're on something called an adrenal tonic and a little bit of adrenal support. There's another product called Drenamin. You just go on 1 tablet twice a day. But supporting your adrenal glands may be the single most important thing that you do during perimenopause, along with nurturing your body more, which means less stressors, physical and chemical, more sleep, so you can support your body during that phase of change. Last but not least here, the timing of the month. Do not crush yourself a couple of days just prior to your period. If you are crushing yourself, remember, you are running uphill. You make it twice as hard as your body. And when your body's under that type of duress, it's going to hold on to everything. And then give yourself a little bit of grace here, folks, as we go. Our bodies are designed to be healthy. When they are healthy, we will find our ideal weight. All right, with that being said, thanks for showing up here for another episode of the Health Made Simple Show. I apologize if there was a lot of dog noise in the back. I have a tendency, an inclination that there was a lot of noise. With that being said, hopefully you were able to digest some of this information. I look forward to seeing you at the next podcast. Make sure you take deliberate action for your mind, your body, overall wellness. Y'all be awesome.